Oh, more red blinky blinky. Ow, that thing is bright. Stupid red light. Hi, we're back, and I'm Matthew, and this is Matt Reviews Books, which is to say I have books, I've read them, and I want to talk about them. So this week we have Book 2 in David Eddings' Pentology. I'm gonna run with that. Pentology. It's Queen of Sorcery. This was also likewise published in 1982. So here we go. And before we get too much further along, remember, if you like this, press like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what you want me to read. I got lots of books, so take your time, but let me know. Synopsis. So here we go. We have Garion. He's our boy, and he's in the course of the last book and in Pot of Prophecy book 1. He started off. He aged over the course of the book. He's now about 14, and he is caught up in this quest. Still not sure exactly what the quest is. Well, we do, and we don't. We do have figured out that they are. The group is chasing somebody who has stolen something, and now they're trying to get it back. So Garion and his grandfather and his aunt Pol and Durnick and yes, we now have Barak, who is a Cherik, basically think Viking, and Silk, who is a Draznian. And so they're waiting for somebody else. The party split up in the end of book 1. They're now waiting to meet up in Arendia. This is country of Arendia. And then Arendia, if you sort of think of it as a whole country of nothing but late medieval England. Jousts, knights in shining armor, Robin Hood. Technically Robin Hood is early medieval, but stay on topic. We're going to be here all night if you keep getting distracted like that. Where was I? So while they're in Arendia, Garion gets embroiled in a series of adventures. He actually finds out that there's a group that's plotting to assassinate the king of Arendia and blame it on one of the neighboring countries. And he blows the lid, and there's fights and great high action. And then they move from Arendia, they move south into a country called Tolnedra, where the Tolnedrans are very much like Roman. Breastplate, crested helmets, build roads. And they move through Tolnedra, through the forest of the Dryads. And here in the Forest of the Dryads, actually, the southern edge of Tolnedra, it's a major turning point. It's been 37 years, 6 years. I don't think it's a spoiler that this is where we see evidence of Garion. Suddenly, he is not just a farm boy. He is not just an orphan. This kid has some power. And he is thrown for a loop in the way that he expresses his power the very first time. And then, it is called Queen of Sorcery, and we're kind of left with who is the Queen of Sorcery. All these titles have something to do with a main character, or a character that's prominent in the story. And the Queen of Sorcery, we don't quite understand, is actually Polgara until the end, because then she really shows her full powers. It's pretty interesting. It's really cool, because you don't see there is a steady evolution that she's not who Garion thought she was, and then finally here we go, book 2. None similar to what Garion thought. Thoughts. So this is the second book. Eddings' writing continues to become more fluid and more practiced, and he's getting more comfortable in this world and with his characters, and he's giving them room to breathe. You see the progression of how he becomes more at home in his own world that he's created and these people. He's becoming, it's very obvious in the flow of how these characters are by the end of the second book, which makes it well worth reading. And trust me, I read it several times. 15 times. It's been twice a year. There were times when I was a kid, I read this whole series 3 or 4 times a year. Recommendation! Alright, so yeah, like I said, I just now said, I read like 15 times, and I'm almost 40. So you can see, for me, the readability is really high, and the rereadability. And being able to keep reading it and still enjoy and go back to the same characters like, well, they're old friends. You know, the writing is better, the characters are maybe coming more to life as you read. And again, this is not dense reading. This is not War and Peace, people. You can read this bus trip, on a train trip, plane trip. Yeah, just basically, if you're a passenger in a car on a road trip, and you can do that reading a car, this is a good book for you. So, I recommend go. Alright, that was a little overboard. You know what to do.